You know, it's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now.
What so many supporters of Caitlin Clark have been saying throughout the season was finally expressed by Candace Parker. And a lot of the old guard in the WNBA didn't want to hear it. The league must pay heed, particularly the commissioner. Though some critics claim that things have only gotten worse, we had hoped that the new season would offer a more constructive approach toward Caitlin Clark and her admirers. They contend that double standards, resentment, and jealousy have grown much more apparent. Candace Parker did not keep quiet throughout the contentious episode involving Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark, in which Alyssa Thomas made physical contact close to Clark's neck. Speaking out about the event, she underlined the significance of player safety and equitable treatment in the game. Legendary WNBA player Candace Parker offered her viewpoint, which many found to be lucid and reasonable. Her remarks broke through the clutter and inspired others to consider the issue from a different angle. Maybe now people will take a moment to reflect. This season, according to some pundits, has demonstrated that the more Caitlin Clark achieves, the more controversy and discussion appear to surround her. Let's examine Candace Parker's real remarks, which many have characterized as a forceful reaction to the WNBA's establishment and Caitlin Clark's detractors. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video.
I've often used the line, Shay, that I'll share with you because I don't know if I've ever used it while you've been on the air with me. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. I've said that many, many times over the years. There is a flagrant level of resentment that exists when it comes to Caitlin Clark, and it has existed since she has arrived in the league. She is the cash cow. Just recently, a couple of days ago, I think, we saw her and another player, I think it was Alyssa Boston or whatever, we saw them be the top two vote getters for the WNBA All-Star game so far. Every time you turn...
When Candace Parker saw the footage of Alyssa Thomas reportedly striking Caitlin Clark in the back of the neck while Clark was still responding to being poked in the eye, her response was quick and uncompromising. Candace Parker is familiar with what true competitive energy looks like because she has spent years fighting against some of the toughest and most physical players in WNBA history. However, she believed that Alyssa Thomas's actions went beyond what was deemed proper sportsmanship and fair competition. However, you won't believe what Candace Parker had to say about the timing of that shove. This is where Alyssa Thomas's analysis really hurts her. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's go back to the story. The basketball veteran made a point that many fans had previously been considering. But few individuals of her caliber were willing to publicly discuss it. Candace Parker believes that taking a cheap shot at a player when they are unprepared and defenseless is far different from playing aggressive championship-caliber defense. Candace Parker emphasized that players settled their conflicts face-to-face during her own playing career, which was marked by a rough basketball style. Someone who had an issue with an opponent contacted them directly rather than waiting for the perfect moment to launch a surprise attack. And that's exactly what Alyssa Thomas's actions irritated Candace Parker the most. But this is where Candace Parker's remarks further damage Alyssa Thomas's reputation. The legendary WNBA player was especially offended by what she saw to be Alyssa Thomas's reaction after the incident. Alyssa Thomas responded as though the criticism she got from fans and the media was unfair rather than showing regret or admitting that she might have gone too far. "Damned if I do, damned if I don't," she said. That reaction only made Candace Parker more incensed. Candace Parker believes that the greatest players and true champions take responsibility for their actions, especially when those actions seriously endanger another player. She said she was reminded of athletes who privately knew they couldn't compete at the highest level with simply basketball when she saw Alyssa Thomas dismiss the criticism and portray herself as the victim of unfair treatment. Instead, they looked for other, more controversial ways to affect the game. In other words, Candace Parker said that Alyssa Thomas was relying on questionable tactics rather than letting her basketball prowess speak for itself. This is where Candace Parker's study truly shines, since it highlights a significant facet of Caitlin Clark. Candace Parker claims that Clark possesses the same exceptional basketball IQ, the ability to perform in pivotal moments, and the clear vision to enhance the performance of those around her. Qualities that distinguish truly outstanding players from others. However, she also observes something that truly concerns her as someone who values the integrity of the game. Instead of being free to focus just on developing her extraordinary talent, Clark is continuously compelled to worry about pointless physical play and questionable methods. Alyssa Thomas's approach, according to Candace Parker, reflects every weakness in the way some players choose to confront Clark. Instead of matching her skill via dedication, preparation, and disciplined basketball, they resort to violent play when she is least able to protect herself. From Candace Parker's perspective, a troubling tendency has emerged. Clark is often physically targeted during her most vulnerable moments rather than being challenged through pure basketball combat. Candace Parker didn't hold back when describing such behavior. She could conceive of no worse type of basketball competition than this one. However, this is the aspect of Candace Parker's remarks that has the basketball community talking. She compared the physical challenges she had while playing to Caitlin Clark's current circumstances. At the same time, she pointed out a crucial difference that elevates Clark's situation considerably. At the age of 22, Candace Parker asserts that Clark is going through more adversity than many professional athletes experience in a lifetime. And she's juggling everything while carrying the weight of being the uncontested face of women's basketball. But what's going viral on social media is what Candace Parker said about Alyssa Thomas's future in the league. And you have to hear it to believe. Candace Parker claims that if the WNBA allows women like Alyssa Thomas to chase the league's top players without incurring any consequences, it sends the message that poor players may stay relevant by employing questionable tactics rather than developing their basketball talents. She said that this creates a dangerous precedent that will discourage the players who are advancing the league. When situations like this aren't handled properly, the league runs the risk of giving young fans watching the game the wrong idea. According to Candace Parker, instead of teaching young athletes how to take advantage of an opponent when they are weak, she thinks they should learn about skill, perseverance, hard effort, and sportsmanship. Perhaps the most significant part of Candace Parker's comments was her forecasts for Caitlin Clark's future despite all of these challenges. Adversity has a way of making great players even better, she added, adding that every cheap shot, every questionable play, and every attempt to scare Clark will only strengthen her thinking and fuel her drive to establish herself via excellent basketball. To support her claim, Candace Parker compared Clark's current situation to the physical challenges she faced early in her own WNBA career when she was constantly tested by more experienced opponents to determine if she could withstand the pressure. According to Candace Parker, the difference is that Caitlin Clark is balancing all of this with the extraordinary media attention and expectations that come with being one of the most well-known and marketable stars in the WNBA. This is the reason that Candace Parker's support of Clark is so important. She feels that rather than merely protecting a gifted young player, she is safeguarding the integrity of the game itself. Candace Parker claims that Caitlin Clark exemplifies the qualities that set basketball apart: extraordinary talent, outstanding court vision, unwavering competition, and professionalism. She said, however, that behaviors like those attributed to Alyssa Thomas have the potential to diminish the game and damage its reputation. The WNBA legend made it clear that she thinks the league is at a pivotal moment. The WNBA has the choice to protect and develop its greatest players in order to provide players like Caitlin Clark every opportunity to reach their full potential and contribute to the league's progress. On the other hand, it might continue to allow players like Alyssa Thomas to employ questionable tactics that take away from the real game. Candace Parker's message was clear. The league's future, in her opinion, will depend on the decision made, but this is the question that everyone is asking. Will the WNBA take Candace Parker's concerns about Caitlin Clark's safety seriously? Will it allow athletes like Alyssa Thomas to get attention for controversial on-court acts rather than keeping the focus on basketball? What are your thoughts on Candace Parker's critical assessment of Alyssa Thomas's actions? Do you believe her critique was overly harsh, or do you believe her comments were totally justified? More importantly, do you think the WNBA will finally act more forcefully to protect its biggest star, Caitlin Clark? The basketball community will be watching this issue intently, and many believe that Candace Parker's comments will highlight the ongoing debate about Caitlin Clark's treatment in the WNBA. One thing has become unavoidable as this story progresses. One foul, one game, or even one player are no longer the only topics of discussion. It concerns the WNBA's future and its desired course as it embarks on one of the most significant periods in its history. Candace Parker did more than just respond to a contentious situation. Her remarks echoed a worry that has been voiced for months by a number of basketball fans, former players, and commentators. People pay notice when one of the greatest icons in the sport publicly states that the league ought to take further steps to safeguard one of its most promising young players. Her remarks have given a debate that doesn't seem to be slowing down any more weight. A straightforward question lies at the center of this conversation. Is it possible for basketball to maintain its physicality, competitiveness, and excitement while simultaneously prioritizing player safety? The majority of supporters would undoubtedly concur that the response ought to be yes. Nobody wants the game to lose its ferocity. Basketball has always involved tough defense. Passion, tenacity, and players' refusal to give up on a challenge are the foundation of great rivalries. That's why it's so thrilling to watch the sport. However, it is also our duty to ensure that each player gets the chance to compete without taking needless risks. The top stars in the league draw millions of fans, motivate young athletes worldwide, and contribute to the growth of the sport in ways that are advantageous to all parties. Giving anyone preferential treatment is not the goal of protecting those individuals. Rather, the goal is to ensure that all athletes are held to the same standards and that the regulations are applied consistently. One of the most well-known names in basketball is Caitlin Clark. Millions of people watch her every time she takes the court. Within minutes, every highlight becomes viral on social media. Every contentious play makes headlines. Everyone involved, from players and coaches to referees and league officials, under tremendous pressure and responsibility as a result of that level of scrutiny. It's amazing that Clark still concentrates on playing basketball in spite of all the attention. She is still competing, leading her squad, and managing demands that are uncommon for athletes in their early professional careers. She is undeniably one of the main reasons so many new fans are watching the WNBA, regardless of whether they agree with her or disagree. And that's why these kinds of events are so important. Public opinion is shaped by every contentious event. Every officiating choice is examined. Each reaction from the league contributes to a broader discussion regarding professional women's basketball's future, consistency, and fairness. However, it's crucial to keep in mind that this discussion isn't about assigning blame or causing needless divisiveness. The sport of basketball is emotionally charged. Fast-paced sports can result in heated situations, physical contact, and snap judgments. Naturally, perspectives on where the boundary should be drawn will differ among fans, experts, and former players. The most important thing is that those discussions advance the game rather than undermine it. There has never been more momentum for the WNBA than there is now. The number of people watching television is still increasing. Enthusiastic supporters are packing arenas since they can now witness celebrities who inspire them on the biggest platform. Young girls all around the nation are dreaming of becoming professional basketball players. That is something to be proud of. Higher expectations accompany that growth. Consistency is expected by fans. Fairness is expected by players. Additionally, the league has a chance to demonstrate that it can safeguard the athletes who make the game entertaining while simultaneously maintaining the physical aspect of basketball. These kinds of occurrences are frequently remembered throughout history because they become pivotal occasions. Change can occasionally result from debate. Stronger regulations, improved officiating, and a deeper respect for the game itself can all result from it. It's unclear if this will turn out to be one of those occasions, but people will undoubtedly keep paying close attention. Time will tell how this tale concludes. Will Caitlin Clark's path to greatness continue with this? Will the league make changes that will please both players and spectators, or will the argument go on all season long? There's no doubt that basketball enthusiasts everywhere will be watching. It's your turn to participate in the discussion now. Do you concur with what Candace Parker said? Do you believe that all of the WNBA's players are being adequately protected? Where should the boundary be formed between needless physical contact and hard competitive basketball? And what modifications, if any, are you hoping to see in the future? I truly want to hear your viewpoint. So, please leave your ideas in the comments section below. Some of the best conversations take place in the comments section. For additional coverage of the WNBA, NBA, and basketball world, we're providing you with the most recent news, the biggest controversies, in-depth analysis, and the stories that everyone will be talking about. Respectful debates are what make this basketball community so great. Your contribution is really appreciated and keeps this channel able to provide you with high-caliber basketball material every week. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.